If your podcast sounds like it was recorded in a bathroom, don't worry, you're not alone. But here's the thing, bad audio is probably the quickest way to lose an audience. It doesn't matter how bad your intro is, maybe your lighting's bad, maybe, what else could it be? Awkward pauses like I just had. Okay, I know it can be annoying, whatever, but bad audio is what's going to turn away people in the first 20 seconds. But here's the good news. You don't need a fancy studio. You don't need $1,000 recording mic. There are some things you can do to your environment, and there are a few things you can purchase, ideally for under $100, to make your podcast sound good, to have good audio that's clear, that's crystal clear, that's not echoey, that's not rumbled and rambled, that doesn't sound like you're recording it in a washing machine. And so this episode of the podcast playbook, I'm going to show you and kind of give you some tips and ideas and things you can do to get better audio. This is episode 3, and we're just going to call it Why Audio Matters, I guess. Audio on a podcast is your listener's first impression. And that's going to determine if they leave or they stay. Think about how you listen to podcasts at the gym, in the car. I listen to podcasts out on a walk. We listen to podcasts in so many different ways. And yes, there are video podcasts, but I would say that most people listen to podcasts versus watching them. And if you turn on a podcast and immediately it sounds crackled, it sounds muffled, the audio just sounds horrible, you're tuning out, because I know I am. I know I'm tuning out as soon as I hear bad audio. You don't want to be changing the volume all the time or having to try to listen again because you didn't understand what was being said. Listeners associate good sound with credibility. If it sounds professional, they assume you are professional. If it sounds muffled and crackled and all of that, you might lose some credibility. People might not think that you know what you're talking about. Could be the case. I'm not saying it is, but it could be the case. And I'm going to say that I think obviously a good hook, like I talked about in yesterday's episode, matters in the first 15 seconds. If you have a good hook, that's great. But if you have bad audio in the first 20 to 30 seconds, no one's sticking around. Nobody's going to stick around if it sounds like you recorded your podcast in a bathroom, right? Because it's just going to sound bad. And there are some easy ways to fix that, and we're going to talk about that today. So I wrote down 4 common mistakes that will kill your audio in my outline. I talked about creating an outline yesterday. So in my outline today, I've got 4 common mistakes that kill your audio. You don't need a degree in audio engineering to have a good podcast and to sound good. There's just some rookie mistakes that you can avoid with whatever equipment you have to make your audio sound better. The first thing I wrote down is recording in the wrong room. And even if you are recording in a closet, that doesn't matter. You've got clothes in there. You've got blankets, whatever you can hang up to muffle the sound of hard surfaces. So avoid hard surfaces because then it's just going to echo. If you're recording somewhere where there's nothing soft, it's going to echo. So the more curtains, the more carpet, the more sound stuff you can have up on the walls, the better. And if you do eventually want to have a studio, great. You can buy soundproof stuff from Amazon for fairly inexpensive prices. So don't record in the wrong room. Just put up something. Put up clothes, pillows, whatever it might be to help with those echoes. Don't use your built-in mic on your computer. That's number 2. Use the microphone on your iPhone or whatever mobile device you're recording on. If you're recording on a camera, I would recommend buying a microphone that connects to your camera to have a little bit more better quality. But don't use your microphone on your laptop. It's going to pick up everything. Those are not good microphones for recording voice. If your neighbor's mowing their lawn, it's going to pick that up. It's going to pick up your washer and dryer in the next room. So don't record on a laptop mic. The next thing is inconsistent distance. You don't want your mic far away. I'm going to move it far away. Now you can tell the audio is different. I move it closer, right under my face, under my mouth. It gets better. So inconsistent distance, if you're moving around a lot, that's not going to be good. There are some options out there. You can buy a lav mic that attaches to your shirt and then connects to your phone or your computer. Or if you have audio recording hardware, it could go to that, but it would attach to your shirt. So if you are moving around a lot for your podcast, like in a kitchen or something, or you do your podcast outside and you're walking and talking, you probably want to get that kind of microphone. But if you're like me and you're sitting in your studio or garage like I am, just sit still, put the microphone in front of your face and stay there and record. That's number 3. And then number 4 is background noise. Try to avoid all the background noise that you can. I recommend sitting, like wherever you're going to record, before you record, sit there in silence for 30 seconds and see if there's anything in that room that might get picked up. For instance, you could have a fan on, the air conditioner. Before I started recording in my garage, I recorded up in another room in our house, and if the air conditioner was on, it sounded like a freight train. So I'd either have to turn the AC off or I'd have to wait till it goes off just to have a little bit better quality. Now I'm in our garage and we have a fridge in our garage. We have other things. The hot water heater is to the side. And so sometimes I have to wait for that stuff to shut off. But the nice thing too is if you do splurge for better software to record and edit, a lot of the newer software has tools that can remove background noise, which is super great. So 4 things, the common 4 things that I put down that can hurt your audio quality. Recording in the wrong room, so make sure there's no echoey surfaces. Don't use a built-in laptop mic to record. Inconsistent distance, try to just stay close to the mic, keep your mouth close to it, and background noise. So all of that to say, the takeaway from those common mistakes is that most bad audio isn't the gear, it's just your environment and your habits. So no matter the gear, those other things you can fix. And that's kind of where bad audio comes into a play. So you don't need a studio to record a podcast. If you listen to my other episodes, I started out recording my podcast in my car on my iPhone with like a $40 mic I bought that attached to the bottom of my iPhone. That's how I started recording. You don't need fancy gear. You just need the right basics. And yes, you can start a podcast for free using your phone, recording into your phone mic, that kind of thing. But I would recommend, if you are very serious about starting a podcast and are going to do it and continue to do it, I would say once you've proven to yourself that you're going to keep doing it. So maybe after 5 episodes, they say most people quit after 3 episodes. They'll record 3 episodes and quit podcasting. So I'd say set a goal, 5, 10, whatever it is for you, whatever you feel comfortable with. Set a goal of how many podcasts you're going to record before you buy a piece of gear, whether it's a microphone or some better software, whatever it might be. Set that goal of how many episodes and then get that next piece of gear, because you can, like I said, start with just your phone. It's that easy. So some of the other gear I would recommend is a pop filter to help with your P's and your T's. If you have a nicer mic, it's going to help with that. But some of the other mics, you might need a pop filter for that so your P's don't sound ridiculous. The next thing, which you probably have around your house, is blankets or beach towels, pool towels, to just put up to kind of help with the echoiness. There's a carpet down below me. Obviously, there's nothing behind me, but up above, which you can't see up here, I have some soundproofing stuff. And I bought these foam tiles from Amazon about 4 months ago that I've now set up and that I'm using. But before that, I just used blankets. And even further back that you can't see, I have beach towels set up along my garage door, hanging down, which is kind of annoying because I have to set them up every time I'm going to record. But it helps. It helps with the sound. So maybe you do have to record in your closet. Put up some blankets and some clothes around you. You're not crazy. You're just trying to do what you can with what you have to make your audio sound clear, so people aren't running away from your podcast 30 seconds in because it sounds like you're in a washing machine with marbles recording it. Another thing too, with not having to have a fancy studio, is some of that recording software. There is software out there that is super expensive. One audio software is called Pro Tools. I'm not even sure of the price on it, but it's got to be over $500 is my guess. I could be way off. But you don't need something fancy like that. If you have an Apple computer, you have GarageBand for free on your computer. You can use GarageBand if you have an Apple computer to record and edit your podcast. If you don't have an Apple computer and you have a Dell or whatever, a PC, there's a software program called Audacity. I used to use that you can use. It's free. There's also some other ones. I started using a software called Riverside.fm, and I'll put all these links below this on YouTube. So I'll have, below I'll have all the links to this. But now I use Riverside.fm. I actually pay now for a yearly subscription just to get some of the better tools. AI tools, helps with editing. This software actually, it cuts out ums and ahs and pauses and all of that stuff. This software, Riverside, cuts all of that out for you. So I would say, yes, there is free software, but if you, again, are serious about this and you've recorded 10, 15, 20 podcasts and you're just like, I need something more as far as editing goes, look into Riverside.fm. It is awesome. There are so many editing tools inside of there that help you edit. I can edit this episode. I'll have it edited in about 30 minutes after I record it and done, because it helps remove, like I said, ums, uhs, that kind of thing, pauses, background noise. It can also level the audio. It's great if you're recording a podcast with somebody who lives in another state also. You can do video podcasts with other people with this software. So again, the mini takeaway from this part is you don't have to spend a ton of money to sound good. You can spend under $100 to sound great. So here's the truth about audio and the quality of your audio. People aren't going to notice when your audio is good. They're just not. But you know when they are going to notice is when your audio is bad. So they're going to notice that. If you have bad quality audio, people are going to notice. If it's good, won't be noticed. You have something to say. You've started a podcast because you have a message to get across. And I'm only doing this because I want to help you. And if you have that message to get across, you want it to be clear and you don't want bad audio. You don't want that bad audio to distract from your message. So make it as easy as possible for people to listen to. And so something that you could do this week as a takeaway is you could record like just a 1-minute intro or something in one room, like a echoey room. So do it in a bathroom and then do it somewhere where it's not echoey and just see the difference. And right away, you're going to be like, oh man, huge difference. And so you might have to figure out where you're going to record your podcast because of that or whatever. And honestly, I don't know how many people record in their bathrooms. That sounds silly, but it gives you an idea though of how echoey it is when there's hard surfaces in a room that you're recording in. And so if you see that difference, you're going to be like, man, I need to figure this out. I need to change this. And so you'll understand immediately why good audio quality matters. So if this episode helped you, please share it with another podcaster, somebody who's trying to podcast, somebody who's starting a podcast. Please follow the show. The more followers, the more comments, the better. I love interacting with comments, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube or wherever. And I hope that this series is beneficial. This is only episode 3. I'm trying to do a 10-part series. Again, I haven't done something like this because it's almost more like workshop-y. It doesn't feel natural to me, this style of podcast, because I'm kind of stopping, going over my notes, recording again. So it's almost like a TV show in a way, which I don't like because it's even more unnatural for me, but I really want to do this to help you and to help people. That's why it's going to be a little bit different than my normal podcast that I do, where I just talk and give my advice and my tips. So I hope this helps you. Thanks for listening. See ya.